What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for you guys about, a kid who thought he was never going to be able to get in trouble. He thought he was basically invincible until somebody came around that just wasn't going to take any of that. Honestly, it's a pretty epic story if I get to say so myself. Seriously though, it should be a pretty fun time, but before we get into it, be sure to press the like button or no joke, no scam, you're going to get bullied by a kid from Slovakia. And without further ado, let's get into it.
The sun's down and I'm feeling alright, so tell me, little mama, what you doing tonight? You know I'm trying to hit it, I'm the
Alright, so I think we've all had a kid in school that basically is impervious to getting in trouble, for whatever reason. It seems like this kid could literally walk up to a teacher, punch them in the face, call them ugly, say they need to retire, and everybody would be like, dang, Jimmy, please calm down, and nothing would actually happen to the kid. I don't really know if that's a good way to be raised. I don't think it is. But there was a kid that I went to school with that was basically invincible to getting in trouble. He could misbehave, do whatever he wanted, and nobody would say anything. If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure he had like a parent who worked at a university or something, and he was in admissions, and I guess like the school didn't want to make his dad mad because it went up to high school, and so when people were applying to the college, they didn't want the dad. Like, it was just this whole situation where the school felt like they couldn't get this kid in trouble. And for whatever reason, the dad was on board with this too. Like, he didn't like his son getting in trouble either. And, I don't really understand that. Like, I understand wanting to protect your kid and, not get them arrested or anything. But if you think that, like, telling your kid he can basically behave however he wants and there's no consequences is a good thing, like, that's gonna lead to a good person in the future when he's an adult, I have bad news for you, dude. People who think that they can do whatever they want and get away with it tend to, usually not last very long at jobs or have a lot of friends or whatever because they don't know how to like treat people in a nice way. But hey man, whatever, I'm not a parent. This guy, for whatever reason, had it where his kid couldn't get in trouble and had told his kid couldn't get in trouble, and he was aware of it. He was basically just going around being a jerk to everybody. He would hit kids, he would bite kids, he would take people's stuff. He was just an absolute jerk. And for the most part, because it was like, a pretty, for lack of a better word, kids there were like just little bitches, Nobody would ever actually really stand up to the kid until one day we got a new kid. Now, Mr. Never Getting in Trouble here, I'm going to name him Trevor for the rest of the story because I'm going to be honest, when he grows up, he's probably going to end up living the life of Trevor from GTA 5. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just going to be a disaster. Trevor really liked being in charge, and this new kid who we got, who I'm going to name Mark, had obviously walked in unaware of the fact that, Trevor was in charge. And we had gotten a lot of new kids at our school before that were pretty normal kids. Nobody had ever thought that they were like any different or anything. But something about this Mark kid was definitely a little bit different. He wasn't from around there. And when I say he wasn't from around there, I'm not saying like he was from another city or another school or another state. The kid, Mark, actually had been from another country. And, usually when kids move from another country, it's like Canada or like something, Mexico, something close. But this kid happened to be from Eastern Europe, and Eastern Europe has some pretty sick places, don't get it wrong, but this kid, I had found out later, had come from a pretty rough neighborhood in a former Soviet country, and for those of you that don't know, those places can be kind of tough. Like, yes, there's lots of nice places over there, but this kid had kind of grown up in a rough area, he wasn't from around there, and, because he wasn't aware that Trevor was in charge, he didn't exactly treat him the way that he was used to being treated. Their first interaction went a little something like this. I'm pretty sure Trevor walked up to him and demanded he open his backpack so he could look inside and like take something out of it. And the Mark kid had just been like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. And he had done it in front of everybody. And obviously, because this Trevor kid liked to be in charge, when somebody had done that in front of everyone, he felt like he had to like show him who was boss. So he had kind of like grabbed the backpack out of Mark's hands. And, as I said, Mark, through no fault of his own, was just from a place where I'm sure people had tried to grab his backpack a lot, and it looked like he wasn't necessarily afraid of this kid. So when he grabs his backpack out of his hand and like goes to unopen it, Mark just grabs it back, looks at him and says, if you touch my backpack again, I'm going to beat the crap out of you. But he didn't say crap. And obviously when that happens, everybody watching it go down kind of does like the ooh, when it looks like there's about to be a fight at school, everybody starts to get excited. It's a little bit bizarre, should we be excited that children are about to fight? Probably not. Is it still entertaining? Absolutely. Anyways, there was just this energy coming off this Mark kid that was like, yeah, I would not want to fight him. You know what I mean? When somebody just has this attitude of like, I'm not afraid of you, I will beat you like little schoolgirl. It's probably better to just not deal with it. But Trevor, because he needed to look all tough, challenges him and is like, yeah, you wouldn't do anything. What are you gonna do if I take your backpack, huh? And when he asks him what he's gonna do about it, Mark just looks at him and says, I'm going to punch you in the face. I just told you. And like, the way he said it wasn't any shakiness or like, trying to zinger him or anything. It was just like he said a fact, It was as if he was repeating something he had heard in history class. He said, I'm going to punch you in the face with the same sureness that you would usually say, like George Washington was the first president. It wasn't a matter of, I'm going to try to punch you in the face. It was like, I'm going to knock you out. And when he says it like that, Trevor's face instantly like recoils a little bit. He looks scared. He looks like he doesn't really know what to do to this. As I said, most of the kids around this school were just kind of like not going to stand up to the kid or fight with them because they knew that they were going to get in trouble because the school wasn't going to do anything. This Mark kid, though, just didn't really care. But the look on his face is soon replaced when he realizes that he's got to like continue to act tough. And so Trevor looks at Mark and he's like, yeah, well, you're lucky you're new, man. You don't really understand how it works around here, but I usually don't let people talk to me like that. And Mark is like, yeah, okay, man, sure, whatever, but you're not going through my stuff. And Trevor backs down, and I think in his head, he was like, yeah, everybody thinks that I just let him off the hook. But it was really obvious to everybody that he was just scared that this guy was actually gonna, punch him through a wall like Iron Man to a villain in the next Avengers movie. Oh, rest in peace, never mind. And after that, everything was pretty okay that day. I caught Trevor just mad dogging the new kid a couple times, but for the most part, he kind of just stayed out of his way and was just observing, trying to figure out what was going on. And I didn't know the Mark kid super well, but I'm not gonna lie, he was like a cool dude. We were not besties or anything, but he was definitely less of a pain in the butt than Trevor was, that's for damn sure. Somebody who just minds their own business, does their work, and just, doesn't mess with people is way, way more fun to have a class with than a guy that, like, his entire personality is trying to make everybody else around him miserable. Definitely a big upgrade, dude. So obviously Trevor is mad because he used to be the class's tough guy. Now there's a new one who was more popular with the class because, he didn't get the tough guy reputation by beating up everybody in his class. He was just kind of tough. And Trevor did not like that. He would basically go out of his way at any point to inconvenience Mark, to mess with him, all this stuff. And what really surprised me is the fact that Mark handled it with grace, bro. Like, Trevor would knock papers out of his hand and he would just pick them up and go to his desk. He would be, in PE playing dodgeball. They would purposely hit him in the face, like Mark would get hit in the face by Trevor and his homies, and he would just take it and be like, yep, whatever, and just go sit down. Like, the kid did not want to fight anybody. I really do believe that. Because genuinely, there was plenty of times where they were messing with him, taking things too far, and he was just like, okay, and just kind of taking it. But one day, things just boiled to a point where it snapped, and you can't even blame Mark for what happened here. I guess Trevor had kind of thought that this Mark kid was going to be easy to bully from now on. After he had kind of gotten away with it a couple times and Mark hadn't done anything, he figured he had, like, quote-unquote fallen into line. He wasn't going to put up any trouble if he tried to mess with him or anything, and he thought he could go back to, like, running the school the way it was. Well, we didn't know this at the time, but Mark had been talking to his parents, in the school, and they had basically said that obviously this kid had issues before, but until he put his hands on Mark, he wasn't allowed to do anything. And like I said, we didn't know that at the time. Trevor had just kind of kept the bullying to taking stuff or doing things in a way that he could just excuse and say wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? Oh, I bumped into him and knocked the paper out of his hands. Oh no, we were just playing dodgeball. He hadn't actually pushed him or hit him or anything. But the Mark kid was basically just taking it because he knew he couldn't do anything about it until, there was an altercation. And I don't know what Mark's parents did, okay? I really don't have any idea, but the fact that the school had even said that this guy was allowed to beat the crap out of him at some point definitely meant that they were some pretty crazy, influential people in the area, usually. Anyways, the incident that caused this all to boil over is one day everybody was just eating lunch. We would kind of eat lunch as a class in our room for a little bit. I don't know why. It was a certain week or something. They were redoing the gym. I don't remember why. For whatever reason, we're eating lunch in our class. And so everybody was just kind of sitting at their assigned desk, eating their food. And the Mark kid was eating some soup, and he had asked the teacher to put it in her microwave to heat it up. So obviously it's some pretty hot soup. And for whatever reason, Trevor gets up in the middle of lunch, walks over to Mark, and just hits the soup in a way that it just dumps all over him, bro. This, like, hot soup is all over him. And obviously, being covered in hot soup when you least expect it is not a very comfortable thing. In fact, it's probably pretty damn painful if I had to guess. So, you know, Mark does what anyone would do when they just get covered in, like, burning hot soup. And he kind of just lets out a yell. Not even like a, just like a, ah, like, what the hell? Like, just being covered in hot soup. That's what happens. I've never been covered in hot soup, but I'm assuming that I would have a similar reaction, you know? And when he lets out, like, the exclamation of, ow, like, this really hurts, Trevor just reaches back and just punches him right in the face, dude. And this all goes down in the span of about 15 seconds. And from start to finish, I was sitting in a place where I saw it all. I don't think Mark knew what was going on, man. It was a total sneak attack. Like, these two definitely didn't like each other, but I thought there would be at least a decent amount of respect to, like, not cover a guy in hot soup, and then when he's distracted by that, then hit him. But that's just what Trevor had decided to go with, bro. And that just kind of tells you the type of person he was. He wasn't the type of person that ever wanted a fair fight. He just wanted to feel tough by beating up people that were, like, injured, you know, or people that couldn't do anything to fight him back right then. And in all of this commotion, the teacher looks up and she sees that Trevor had hit him first, you know, and she sees that Mark is covered in soup, and everybody in the class kind of, like, yells, oh my god, he just covered him in it and hit him. And I don't know if Trevor had thought that, like, the hot soup one punch combo would be enough to quell this kid who had been, like, just taking all of his crap forever, but obviously after that happened, it was open season. Mark knew that after he had been hit, that it was time for him to get his revenge, bro. So he gets up covered in hot soup and just, you know, with a Viking yell, dude, like just a yell of anger, just grabs Trevor, picks him up, not even over his head, but just kind of like up to his shoulder area, throws him down, and like the thud of him hitting the ground was just like a boom, you know, just it felt like it hurt. And all of this had started with Mark yelling when he had gotten hit with soup. All right, guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for 1 second. On screen now is actually an Xbox gift card. I give a gift card away on every video here on this channel as a way to just say thank you to everyone who's subscribed with notifications on. So if you haven't already subscribed, turn on those notifications so you never miss another video. And yeah, big thank you to everyone who's already subbed with notifications on, and I'll let you guys get back to the video. Loves. Well, now Trevor hits the ground and screams, bro, but the scream sounded a little bit like this. Ah! Like, it was just such a baby scream, dude. This guy had come over and started this fight, and then as soon as he had gotten slammed, is just crying like a little baby, dude. And Mark, at that point, slammed him, gets on top of him, and is just wailing on the dude, bro. And this is awful. Usually I would be like, oh, stop. But this kid had been basically bullying everybody the entire year, and nobody had been able to do anything about it. So nobody was like, oh no. In fact, this is awful. I wasn't cheering, but there were people in the class who were cheering, bro. Like, plenty of people were really excited that this kid was getting beat up right now. Our teacher gets up and, like, walks across the room with some hurry. She didn't sprint, okay? That's all I'll say about that. And she pulls Mark off, and, you know, Mark was pissed he's hitting this kid, but as soon as the teacher had, like, grabbed his shoulder, it was like he just turned it off, bro. He just instantly calmed down. He got up, he looked at the teacher, and he said, do I have to go to the principal's office? The teacher was like, yeah. And he said, okay. So he starts walking to the principal's office, you know, and he turns around, and Trevor is still on the ground, you know, and he says, I want you to know that I've been wanting to do that for a long time, and so has everybody else. And he turned and walked out of the room. And the Trevor kid gets up, and listen, you know, as somebody who's lost some fights, trust me, I've been beat up before. The best thing to do is to just shut up and leave the room. You don't say anything, you don't try to, like, intimidate anybody, you just leave. But Trevor gets up and goes, none of you guys can beat me up, do you understand? But when you say that right after everybody just watched you get mollywopped, it sounds like you're just coping, you know? You're just trying to convince yourself that everyone's gonna stay afraid of you when the truth is it's not gonna work anymore. So whatever, they go to the office, both of them, and for the rest of the day, we don't see either of them. The class basically had assumed that Mark was about to get expelled and that, you know, Trevor was gonna get in no trouble and be back. But sure enough, the next day, neither of them are there, and our teacher tells us that both of them had gotten suspended for 5 days for fighting. And I'm not gonna lie, the class was a little bit overjoyed. Just just because it meant that he had finally gotten in trouble for something, bro. He had found his match. He couldn't just like go around messing with everybody and get away with it anymore. And after the suspension, bro, they came back, and I'm telling you, it was obvious that Trevor still wanted to like bully everybody and be in charge, you know, but he just couldn't bring himself to do it because he was aware of the fact that nobody was afraid of him. Like, I remember the first day he came back, he started trying to boss people around again, and people just looked at him and were like, yeah, no, bro, I'm just not gonna do that. And the look on his face when people were just telling him no and were like, yeah, no, to this day remains one of the funniest things I've ever seen, bro. Mark, you know, our little Eastern European angel, ended up really saving everybody by just throwing the beat down on him. Oh my gosh, I coughed, sorry. The only thing that really sucks about this situation is Mark, who had kind of come in clutch and really saved the class, and for lack of a better term, did end up getting transferred out of our class. He had to go into another classroom. I don't know why that was. I don't know if it was his parents' call, both parents' call, or whose, but you know, they wanted the kids separate. On the playground and stuff, whenever they would bump into each other, though, obviously, Trevor was much nicer this time around. But yeah, moral of the story is just because you think you can get away with everything doesn't mean it's gonna work forever, bro. Sometimes people have to let you get away with stuff. It's not that they're afraid of you. It's not that, you know, they're horrified of you. There's just nothing they can do about it. You're their boss, you know, you're bigger than them, whatever it is. But one day, if you're just a jerk to everybody, someone's gonna punch you in the face. You know, that's it. I've learned my lesson. I've been punched in the face a couple times, bro. I used to be a jerk to a lot of people. You gotta knock it off. Sometimes someone's gonna punch you in the face. That's the way it is. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video, though. Hopefully you enjoyed. As I said, like and comment if you did. It really does help out the channel, and it means a lot. If you want more content, longer stuff, I do have a podcast called The Scuffed Cast. You can always go check that out. Link will be in the description, along with the link to the intro song if you enjoyed that. And of course, the 2 million subscriber merch for the main channel can be found in the Teespring link down below as well. I really do appreciate all the support, and a big thank you to everyone who's subscribed with those notifications on. And if you're in the mood for gaming, you need some energy to do so, and you're heading over to gfuel.com to get the energy drink for gamers, use code SCRUBBY at the checkout to get a little bit of a discount. Really does help me out as well. And yeah, on that note, guys, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I will see you guys all next time with another video. I'm out. Peace.